to what they used to be. And I want to answer the question that was raised by Honorable Kagusha together, generally, because I don't want to go into specifics, because as we speak, we are taking action on the issue of governance in universities. Governance is a very big challenge, is a very big problem that has bedeviled almost all our universities. 23 of our public universities, we keep saying in English they're technically insolvent, but I think they're insolvent. So we need to ensure that as we deal with the budget, we also deal with the governance, because you can give an institution money, but if the governance is wanting, that money would not do what it is supposed to do. So we are doing something about it. We are doing currently something about the challenges that Nairobi University is facing. I don't want to go into details because it's alive and active even as we speak. There's a team working on it as we speak. But with respect to what we are going to do to deal with the issues relating to uncompleted projects in various universities, we've requested and we've directed that there be an audit from each and every university on the stalled projects and the costs that are required for them to be completed. And we've also directed that no new project should start until those projects that have stalled are sorted out. So we are doing something, we are cleaning up that space, and we will be coming here all the time, because on issues relating to governance, there are also issues affecting communities and other things. So we'll be coming back to get your support so that as we implement these policies, some of them, as we said, are they're going to be bitter, but we'll need your support in order for us to be able to implement them. All of us are affected by what is happening in the universities, and it's time that we all put our hands on the table, all hands on deck, so that we can be able to solve them. Thank you. I submit.
Yes, Wangwe. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a house of records. And when a cabinet secretary responds in affirmative, it means the situation is wanting. Honorable Speaker, the cabinet secretary has just confirmed that 23 of our universities are insolvent. What does that mean, Honorable Speaker? It means the universities are unable to pay or own debts. And in terms of understanding the financials, Honorable Speaker, they are supposed to be given two directions, either natural death or liquidation. What route has the minister initiated so that our insolvent institutions are settled?
Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I would like to just bring the attention to the attention of the Honorable Minister that as the law stands now, with the Commission of University Education, the Medical Practitioner and Dentist Council actually do not go out to monitor the training of medical and dental students. And that work is left to the Commission of University Education, and I'm not so sure whether they have the capacity. How then can they pick in advance the problems that have been brought out by Honorable Madenge if the Medical Practitioner and Dentist Council is not doing what formerly, before the new law, the University Act came, was the practice?
Yes, I want to close this. Gogoyo.
Thank you. Speaker, mine is just brief. Earlier on the CS, because I want clarity, Mr. CS, you are aware that TSC has confirmed that they lack science teachers in this country. What are you doing? Because it is the ministry that owns the colleges. What are you doing to make sure that we have science teachers? In my constituency, there is no deployment of any teacher for the science lesson for JSS. All that we have are in the arts. what are you doing to make sure that in the present and in the future, you will have science teachers to go to schools? Because it is clear that there is a deficit. And TSC has said they have none to deploy.
Minister.
Thank you. On the question of the insolvency or the technical insolvency of the universities, this is why the new funding model was introduced, in order to ensure that universities have sufficient funds to be able to turn around. Based on that, and based on the simulations that have been done, all our universities that are in this situation with proper governance will come out of the doldrums in the next 3 or 4 years. So that is the program that is in place to ensure that we do not lose our universities. On the question of the university, the Commission of University Education and the Council, we are undertaking currently the amendments of the laws, including the Commission of University Education Act, to ensure that it is harmonized and it is aligned, to ensure that there is no contradiction on the duties and responsibility that the various organizations that deal with the various medical institutions or other educational institutions, including engineers. There is no conflict. We are working on the harmonization so that it is smoother and it will be more effective on what it was initially intended to do. And Q is working with all the professional bodies to ensure that whatever issues that are of conflict within their mandates are aligned, and we have a body that is fit for purpose. On the issue of the science teachers that are lacking, we have started working with the semester to ensure that a number of teachers are employed, and there are a number of teachers that have not necessarily the whole of science, because I understood that what TSC was saying, for example, mathematics, they are not labeling maths as a science subject. So that we are working on that to see what does it really mean to say this is a science teacher. So those we are working with them to ensure that even as admissions are done, a lot of students, a lot of learners, a lot of graduates take the science courses vis-a-vis some of the what we could call where is the word going? There's a word. I'm saying there's going to be okay, I'll remember it, but we are doing something towards encouraging students to apply for more science courses and ensuring that we have some programs that we support them. For example, we want to come up with support in terms of resources so that if somebody is going to do science, is supported that much more than somebody who's going to do art, so that we can get much more students coming in.
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action, yes. Thank you. It's been quite long.
Yes, Robert Mbui, the very last.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your indulgence, and I first want to apologize for having come after the minister to ask this question. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 16 of this year to the CS. First and foremost, can the CS provide an update on the status of preparedness by his ministry to the transition of grade 8 learners to grade 9, which is happening at the end of this year? Mr. Speaker, the second one is, could the minister provide a report on the number of classrooms planned to be constructed and the number of classrooms that have already been constructed in readiness for January 2025? Number three, could the minister outline the plans put in place by his ministry to ensure seamless transition of the learners from grade 8 to grade 9? And finally, to clarify whether there are adequate teachers to support the learners transiting to grade 9, and indicate whether there are any plans by the ministry through the Teacher Service Commission to absorb enough teachers to ensure seamless transition across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In preparations for transition to grade 9, we are focused on three main aspects: the provision of adequate classrooms and furniture, the provision of adequate textbooks, and the recruitment of additional teachers. On classrooms, Mr. Speaker, the ministry undertook a countrywide assessment which found that a total classroom requirement of grade 9 is 16,000 classrooms. To ensure these classrooms are ready by January 2025, the government has disbursed 11 billion shillings to schools across the country for the construction of 11,000 grade 9 classrooms. A further 6.8 billion has been allocated to the National Government Constituency Development Fund, being 3.4 billion from the Ministry of Education, matched with 3.4 billion from CDF for 6,800 classrooms. The 18 constituencies in Nairobi County have been allocated another 1 billion shillings for infrastructure development through CDF. Mr. Speaker, we take the opportunity to thank the members for the work they are doing in their respective constituencies in constructing the classrooms, and we really value that support and partnership. Mr. Speaker, every public junior school with learners on NEMIS get 15,042 shillings per learner per year. There is a vote on the repairs and improvement of school infrastructure, which is currently 4,000 per learner per year. The ministry has directed that the money under this vote for this term be strictly used for the provision of desks and chairs for grade 9. On the issue of teachers, the Teacher Service Commission, through a multi-agency approach, has trained 60,642 junior school teachers. The teachers will undergo further retooling in November and December to prepare them for grade 9. During the same period, the 19,960 junior school head teachers will be retooled. The Commission, in collaboration with the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education Africa, has provided specialized tailor-made retooling programs for 7,700 teachers integrated in science and mathematics. Mr. Speaker, it is to be noted that during the financial years 2022-2023 and 2023-2024, the government recruited a total of 48,550 teachers for junior school. This included 9,000 teachers on permanent and pensionable terms and 39,550 teacher interns. In addition, the government deployed 8,378 qualified primary school teachers to junior school, increasing the current number of junior school teachers to 56,367. Following the allocation of budget, the government has converted the 46,000 intern teachers to permanent and pensionable terms beginning January 2025. The Teacher Service Commission is now recruiting an additional 20,000 intern teachers who will be at work by January 2025. Mr. Speaker, on textbooks, the ministry, through the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, began countywide distribution of books on 23rd of October 2024. The books are being distributed at the ratio of 1 book per learner per subject in every learning area. The distribution will be completed at the time of start of term 1 in January 2025. Mr. Speaker, a total of 16,000 classrooms are required for grade 9. However, the government has provided resources for construction of a total of 17,800 classrooms, that being the Ministry of Education is directly responsible for 11,000 classrooms, while the CDF is working on another 6,800 classrooms. Out of the 11,000 classrooms, Mr. Speaker, that are funded by the ministry, a total of 5,052 classrooms across the country have already been completed and handed over. The remaining 5,948 classrooms are at various stages of completion and will be ready by December 2024. It's expected, Mr. Speaker, that the construction of 6,800 classrooms being done by CDF will also be completed by 2024 December. The ministry has taken the following measures to ensure that the grade 9 classrooms are completed before the start of 2025 academic year. One, there are strict timelines that were provided for the construction to ensure completion by December 2024. 2, the procurement process was undertaken at the school level so that they can manage and own the process and the progress of the construction. And number 3, the monitoring of the construction sites has been ongoing to ensure timely completion of the projects. Field officers provide weekly updates to the ministry on the progress of the construction, and any challenges that they face are immediately escalated. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has taken the following measures to ensure seamless transition of learners from grade 8 to grade 9. 1, there is provision of adequate infrastructure and furniture by building the necessary classrooms in time and directing the acquisition of furniture from the capitation provided to schools. 2, providing resources for the construction of the 46,000 for the confirmation of 46,000 teachers to permanent and pensionable terms and for the employment of an additional 20,000. Number 3, distributing books across the country to ensure that learners will have their textbooks at the ratio of 1 book per learner per subject. Number 4, retooling junior school teachers to adequately prepare them to handle grade 9 learners. And number 5, the ministry will ensure timely disbursement of capitation to support junior school operations. Mr. Speaker, as earlier indicated, public junior school has been served with 56,367 teachers, comprising 9,000 teachers on permanent and pensionable terms, 9,550 intern teachers, and 8,378 qualified primary school teachers who are deployed to junior school. The government has converted the terms of the intern teachers to permanent and pensionable to be effective in January 2025. Mr. Speaker, the government is recruiting another 20,000 of teachers. The intern teachers will report to schools in January. Further recruitment will be done progressively to bridge the gap and ensure optimal staffing levels as resources become available. To enhance the capacity of junior school teachers, including school heads, the Teacher Service Commission continues to provide in-service training through multi-agency approaches. This ensures that all teachers are retooled to effectively implement the competency-based curriculum and deliver quality learning outcomes. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, allow me to first inform the CS that members fund that does that, not members of parliament. But Mr. Speaker, numbers don't lie. The CS has clearly indicated that there is a total of about 16,000 classrooms that are going to be built for purposes of junior secondary school. But Mr. Speaker, the government policy was that every primary school is supposed to transition to junior secondary school, and therefore they must have a grade 9 class by January next year. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, some of the schools do not have a single stream. They have more than a single stream, either double or triple. Mr. Speaker, there is over 32,000 primary schools in Kenya. Now, if he's talking about 16,000 classrooms, that obviously does not even reach half the schools. So, Mr. Speaker, I want the CS to tell us, all those schools, more than half in the Republic, that will not have a class ready in January, what exactly are the principals or the heads of the institution supposed to do? Mr. Speaker, secondly, it's also important to note that the number of teachers that he has enumerated here are not enough to teach in all those schools the junior grades. Because junior secondary starts from grade 7, grade 8, and in January 2025, it will be up to grade 9. We don't have enough teachers. What advice is he giving the principals and the heads of the institutions to be able to figure out what to do when the children report in January? And thirdly, Mr. Speaker.
Enough, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am not done.
Yes. You are now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, the minister was taking a joyride on my question and was talking about, resources and textbooks. He has also not talked about the laboratories needed for junior secondary school. Can he tell us when we'll get to laboratories and enough for our schools? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let him answer that first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I indicated is that an assessment was done to determine how many classrooms that would be required for the transition from grade 8 to grade 9. of the students that we have, and it came to 16,000 classrooms. And those are the classrooms that the construction by the ministry is being undertaken. Additionally, the National Government Constituency Development Fund, in partnership with the ministry, would be constructing another 6,800, making a total of 16,000 that I've indicated, 16,000 classrooms. And there is a method that was used in assessing which schools require to have which classroom.
Minister, the more important issue is asking,
Yes.
what will you do where classrooms will not be ready when children go to school? And the second one is, can you tell the country whether you have prepared necessary facilities like laboratories in the schools? The others, you are just repeating what you have said.
Yes. So what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, is that the 16,000 classrooms will be ready in January to admit the students. This is the assessment that has been done by the ministry, and we are saying we will be ready in January. In terms of the laboratories, there is a program to construct 2,000 labs next year, and we'll start once we finish with these classrooms. So they are not there as we speak.
Yes, Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with what Honorable Mboy was saying in terms of construction of classrooms by members of Parliament, because this is a house of record. But I also want to follow up on another matter, Honorable Speaker, which I think is quite serious, and I think we need your indulgence, Honorable Speaker. The CS did mention in his statement that the universities are insolvent. And those of us who have a financial background, if we allow that to go to the record, Honorable Speaker, it will have serious repercussions in terms of universities. I want to plead with you, Honorable Speaker, if it's possible, that we allow the CS to retain technical insolvency other than saying, confirming that the universities are insolvent, because that could have a serious,
Minister, are they
implication.
technical insolvent or insolvent?
Technical insolvent, Mr. Speaker.
So the words actually insolvent are expunged.
They are expunged. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, before we go on, allow me to recognize a delegation from the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China. I wish to introduce to you a delegation comprising members of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China, seated in the Speaker's row. They are Professor Hao Ping, member of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, Vice Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee, and leader of the delegation. Mr. Ma Yiming, a member of the delegation. Mr. Zhang Li, a member. The delegation is accompanied by 3 officers and is in the country for bilateral meetings with members of the Kenya-China Parliamentary Friendship Group in the National Assembly. Honorable members, on behalf of the National Assembly and on my own behalf, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them fruitful engagements during their stay in the country. Thank you. Yes, Sunguli. Minister, you hold
Mr. Speaker, I wish to join you in welcoming the members of the NPC, the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China, where I served as ambassador for 5 years. This delegation...
You should also be honest to say through the courtesy of yours truly.
And Mr. Speaker, I still recall in those days, after you had given me an appointment letter, that you subsequently gave me another letter to say that I was one of the best serving ambassadors. But it was during your great leadership in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the People's Republic of China and Kenya became really good partners. and that a lot of investments went through because of the leadership that we had at that time. We want to urge the House to continue treating the People's Republic of China as great friends. I know that you have not recognized Ambassador Joe Ping.
Is the ambassador there as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. He was not on my list. Welcome, Your Excellency, to the House of Parliament.
Ambassador Joe is the real glue that is holding the relationship now, and is promoting the relationship between this House and the People's Republic and the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China. So we want to welcome them and to assure them that the Republic of Kenya is a great friend and values the great contribution of China in the development of our republic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shakil, do you need to say anything?
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much for the honor. As the chair of the Kenya-China Parliamentary Friendship Group, we welcome our visitors. They are members of the Communist Party Congress. They are parliamentarians, and we've already had a successful third bilateral meeting with them. We shall be meeting you a little later on. So, your Speaker, sir, I want to say to you that we've had even the Deputy Speaker has been on one of those meetings, and many others, including.
Just welcome them to the House.
I just welcome them to the House. Thank you very much.
Yes, Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me also this afternoon to really thank you for giving us an opportunity to meet the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National People's Congress, and to really thank Professor Hao Ping for indeed the visit that they gave us in China. And I just want to say to the ambassador, indeed you are a true friend as a country, and indeed we will learn a lot from you. But more importantly, we know we have embraced each other, and we shall continue working together to create a better relationship than even what we have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We'll go back to questions. Yes, Kagusha.
Honorable Speaker, I want to really thank you very much for giving this opportunity once again. Honorable Speaker, I was, you asked me and requested me to table evidence on the many issues that I raised here. Honorable Speaker,
hand over the documents to the clerk.
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to be on record.
Hold on there. Hand over the documents to the clerk. He has already told me that he needs to verify. So having documents and proving your case are two different things. Give to the clerk, then tomorrow I'll rule on their admissibility. Not tomorrow, on Monday afternoon. If they are found to be authentic, I'll allow them on record. If not, I'll expunge them and make the necessary punishment on the person who has brought them.
Honorable Speaker, just on the same, as I table them, I realize that the minister did not in any way answer the issues which I raised, even those which did not need documentation and evidence.
Once I verify, we can summon him anytime. So give them to the clerk, then they will authenticate the documents, and I will. Honorable members, we have the Minister for Agriculture waiting to take the floor. I want us to stop here with education and bring in the Minister for Agriculture. It's only fair. Order, members, in the interest of fairness, you are about 10 of you raising hands. I reject all of them. Yes. Let's get the Minister for Agriculture Minister for Education, you are released to go back to your office.
Thank you so much,
Remember
Mr.
all
Speaker.
the issues members are raising.
Yes.
As you go away, honorable members, as the minister goes away, Order Mwenje, take your seat. As the minister goes away, if, and this is something that you need to come and address the House, if the JSS is going to be domiciled in primary schools, right?
Yes.
If the JSS is going to be domiciled in primary schools, what it means, they are not going to be Form 1 students in secondary schools, right?
Yes.
What is going to happen to physical facilities in the existing secondary schools in terms of classrooms and boarding facilities? What are you planning to do with them now that you are going to domicile this in, and also the teachers in those schools, the Form 1 teachers in secondary schools? What are you going to do with them? I think next time you come to the House, it will be important that you come and satisfy members of Parliament and the country so that we don't engage in any wastage of public facilities and public resources.
Well noted, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Majority Leader, can you now release your minister and bring in the Minister of Agriculture? Members with questions to agriculture, be ready. Minister, you are welcome, and your team. Welcome, Minister, and we will start with question 146 of 2024 by the Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is directed at the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development, but I will just in 1 minute explain to him the background because it's followed up from an action of the previous minister. So Cabinet Secretary, on the 31st of August 2023, I wrote to the minister, the then Minister of Agriculture, relating to the use of carcinogenic pesticides in Kenya. And at that time, I had already brought a motion to Parliament in September 2019. That was the 12th Parliament. And again in 2022, in the 13th Parliament, I again raised the same issue. And then again in the year 2023, I sought a motion for even the removal from office from the members of the Pest Control Products Board. Reason being that 76% of the total volume of pesticides used in Kenya have one or more active ingredients categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. This information is with the Ministry of Agriculture. Also, it was confirmed that some of the pesticides in fact, over 40% of the pesticides that come into the country are pesticides that have been banned in the United States and other parts of North America, and also in the entire Europe. However, those same pesticides are manufactured in those countries, but for export only to countries such as Kenya. And therefore, we want to ask, what is the status of implementing the recommendations of the National Assembly with regards to that public petition, petition number 70 of 2019, and what steps have been taken by the ministry to withdraw those harmful chemical pesticides in the Kenyan market? And also, what has the minister done to respond to my letter of 31st August 2023, which I also had an opportunity to bring it to your attention during the time you are being vetted for appointment as minister. And lastly, there is also what is being done about ensuring that the pesticide, which was formerly called Roundup, which currently is being sold under a different trade name, but with the same ingredients, what steps have been taken to remove it from the Kenyan market, even though it is known and is public knowledge, again, to the Pest Products Control Board, that, in fact, farmers in the United States were paid $230 million for having developed cancer as a result of use of those pesticides. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. First of all, is to say that, yes, the issue has been, we have been seized of the issue for a long time, and it has been discussed many times with various committees and tabled on 26th August and to the Committee on Implementation. A comprehensive report was tabled in that committee. But what regarding the question, the status of recommended National Assembly Department Committee of Health, we had several issues which were raised there. And the Honorable Member, Boss Chere, is raising, and I'll go through them so that I will indicate what the ministry has done to each particular issue. And the public petition number 70 of 2019 had 7 recommendations that had been addressed by the Ministry of Livestock and Agriculture and Livestock Development. One of the issues was on regulation and distributing and retailing of pesticides. And our response is that the ministry has already gazetted the pest control products and inspection and certification regulations of 2024 on 18th June 2024. The regulation sets the requirements for certification of distributors and retailing of pest control products. So those regulations were the ones which were recommended by the studying that committee, and we have already done the gazettement. So that action has been taken. The other one was the analysis of the products in the Kenyan market. We were requested to analyze the products, pesticide products in the Kenyan market, and the response is that 31 active ingredients and associated end-use products have been reviewed, and we have provided an annex, Mr. Speaker, Annex 4 in our report, which details all those pesticides which have been analyzed. The active ingredients have been analyzed, as we were requested by the committee to do. The development of the highly hazardous pesticide, what we call HHPS strategy, is also ongoing in partnership with the East African community. This is not a one-nation affair. We are also liaising with our East African community member states, so that because some of these pesticides are used across the East African community. And in the last 3 years, 79 pest control products have also been voluntarily withdrawn by litigants for various reasons. So various litigants or registrations have been, 79 of them have voluntarily withdrawn their for various reasons. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, which was raised, number 3, was on funding it was noted that in order for PCPB to do a good job, it had to have adequate funding. And PCPB has been underfunded until the current financial year, when funding was enhanced, and we accepted that. The raw funding caused the delays in reviewing the active ingredients in the petition, review of the regulations in the Pest Control Products Bill. However, development and review of regulations require public participation and also conduct of regulatory impact assessment, which requires a lot of resources, as you agree with me. And the funding needs to be to enhance so that the PCPB can do its work. So from this year, we have seen increased funding for PCPB, and we are hoping that it will do a better job in terms of making sure it does what it was requested to do. The other issue which was raised is the annual publication of pest control products that have been withdrawn or banned. And I report, Mr. Speaker, sir, that PCB publishes normally a list of withdrawn active ingredients and decisions, a list of withdrawn active ingredients and decisions. It also publishes a list of banned products, a list of the registered products, and a list of restricted products on its website. And we have provided also in our report an Annex 5, which indicates some of these products which has been withdrawn or restricted. So, and the ones which has been banned, actually in Annex 5 is on banned products in Kenya. So you see, members, you see there are 45 of them which have been banned in Kenya, and they are listed there from the herbicides, insecticides, and other products. So I don't have to go through the whole list of the products which have been banned, but the list is provided as it was requested. Then number 5 was the amendment to the Pest Control Act. We were requested to do the amendment to the Pest Control Act. The cabinet memo, I can report that the cabinet memo on the Pest Control Products Bill is on the National Treasury, awaiting concurrence and thereafter submission to cabinet. So we have prepared the Pest Control Products Bill, and it is on way to cabinet for approval. The regulations anchored on the PCPB Act of 346 of 1982 were recently gazetted. So we had proceeded to actually do the regulations before the bill, even the bill comes into place. So that is our response, and we have taken action. The other issue was access to data. And PCB has been accessing technical information on the data package supporting the safety of human health and environment. This data includes the chemistry, toxicology, effects on the environment and beneficial organisms, efficacy and residue studies, fate and behavior in the environment. This has been further elaborated in the new registration and regulations gazetted on 6 August 2024 under the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 155 and legal notice number 130. The proposal for the proposed PCPB bill provides for evaluation of PCP for safety of human health and environmental prior to registration. So also action has been taken, as you have seen, with the regulations in place. Labeling. One of the issues we are requested to do is also to do labeling, and the pest control products labeling, advertising, and packaging regulations were also gazetted in June 2024. The regulations require that all pest control products must have a label with adequate information. One of the issues which were raised in some of the cases in US and other jurisdictions was that the pesticides were not well labeled so that the users can be able to know whether there are any hazards and any risk or any dangers they pose. So we have gazetted the regulations to make sure that all the labels, all the pesticides are well labeled and the necessary information is given. The label should have signal words, precautionary pictograms, hazard symbols, and be compliant with the global harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. All commercial labels must be both in English and Kiswahili for ease of interpretation. The banning of products. We are requested to look at what is available in Kenya and make sure that we have products which have harmful to humans and other creatures to be banned. But PCPB undertakes, we can report that undertakes evidence and science-based decision when evaluating application on registration. And 45 active ingredients associated with associated aid-use products have been banned based on the decision of the international conventions like Rotterdam Convention, Stockholm Convention. The banned active ingredients are not allowed in the country, and the list of banned products is publicly available at PCB websites. The ministry has given regular update on the parliamentary committees on the progress, e.g. recently the Committee of Implementation Status of House resolutions on 19 September 2024, and Agriculture and Livestock Committee on September 2024. So there has been continuous engagement with this House and the committees on these banned products, and we have been discussing with the help of the PCPB, giving us the technical input. We are also requested to enhance our laboratory and analytical capacity. And what I can report is that the construction of our laboratory block is at 95% completion and a total cost of 328 million. Completion of the laboratory has been slow due to inadequate funding, inadequate analytical capacity, equipment, and staffing has also been one of some of the issues. The ministry in the process of equipping the laboratory and engaging the technical staff. So we have also enhanced our capacity by ensuring that we have a laboratory which can be able to analyze these agrochemicals. Then there was the issue of epidemiological studies to be done. Pesticide use, I can report, was conducted in Nakuru and Nyandarua counties in 2022. The survey showed that there is need to corroborate train farmers on the use of pesticides. A pesticide residue study was also carried out during the same year. 63 samples of kales, that is sukuma wiki, tomatoes, onions were sampled at farm gate level and major markets in Nakuru, Nyandarua, and Kajiado countries. One kale sample exceeded Codex minimum residue, showing 98.4 compliance. A recent residue study on kales, tomatoes, and onions showed high level of compliance to Codex minimum residue levels. The results from these surveys has informed decision on regulatory action and pertaining to pesticide labeling and training and awareness creation. So we have been constantly undertaking field studies to ensure that we are informed about if there is any minimum levels being exceeded and any epidemiological issues which have been coming up. Then there was the issue of enhancing and promoting training and public awareness of these pesticides. And the statutory organization, PCPB...
Minister, you have taken 20 minutes on one question.
Yes.
Not acceptable.
Sorry, sir. Because the issues...
Answers must be precise and concise.
Okay.
And related to the questions as asked.
And point of order, maybe I can direct.
Yes. Deputy Speaker.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Cabinet Secretary, I have no doubt in my mind that that response was written for you by the Pest Control Products Board. Yes. So that's exactly what they've been telling me since 2022. So that is not an answer. You cannot say that you want to analyze the pesticide and check for the ingredients. You don't need to do that. World science has already confirmed in peer-reviewed medical journals that it is harmful and causes cancer. End of story. So all you need to undertake is a literature review on the table, just using the books and the other publications that have been made, including the court judgments that have already been given and awarded people, and even the decisions by those countries to not sell them at all or use them in their own countries. That information is available to you. You also know very well that for all our exports, any flowers or vegetables that leave Kenya, if you don't use organic pyrethrum-based pesticides, it is returned back. The moment they reach the airport overseas, they are tested for minimum residue limits and they are sent back into Kenya. And the moment they get to our airport, what the people at the airport do is it makes its way to the local market. You also know very well that the over 22 scientists from various universities in Kenya did that desk review and came up with something called the Pesticide Atlas. So that story of saying we are analyzing, we need more money, we need a laboratory, it is not necessary at all. What you need to do is save lives of Kenyans first. And you save our lives first by and you don't need a new regulation. You simply go, the Pest Products Control Board, go to their list of approved pesticides, remove those ones that we know to be harmful now, stop the harm, and then later you can do your analysis. But you can't be doing your analysis as Kenyans are dying. You know very well, Kirinyaga County has the highest prevalence of cancer, but it also has the highest prevalence of use of those pesticides. So that's the answers are not adequate. I think he'll have to come back another day.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I agree that what we need to do is, and I'm informed that this is a very technical area, and you must agree with me. What we rely on is scientific evidence, and PCB, yes, it is correct, you are on that this material has come mainly from PCBB.
Minister, and you are an agricultural scientist?
Yes, but from another branch, the economic side. It is not from the technical side.
Because I'm hearing you saying you are testing sukuma wiki in Nyandarua, I don't know, you are testing... when you are being told by the Deputy Speaker, and she has been on this for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
There is a resolution of this House that these harmful pesticides banned for use in the countries that manufacture them are being sold in our market to harm our people and destroy our economy, because when there is a trace of such material in our products, they cannot enter the EU market. They cannot enter the Japanese market. They cannot enter the American market where they manufacture this and send to us. So can you tell the Parliament and the country what you want to do? If you are not ready, we'll give you time to go and bring a more comprehensive response.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The evidence we have and the independent research, review of literature, which has been done by the agents which has been tasked to do that in this country, the PCPB, has independently gone around, and for instance, particularly for the grace of it, Roundup, which is particularly mentioned. The herbicides have not been found to have any carcinogenic effect. There is no scientific evidence. That is the position.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the minister seems not to have understood. He's the one who said that the laboratory is 95 complete, meaning there's no actual lab that does the test. He just needs to admit that we are not prepared as a country to test for the pesticide. Our pesticide control may be there, but we are not capable of doing the test, and therefore he's not ready, because in the Committee of Implementation we have been asking these questions, and always it was postponed because the minister is not in the House, or he doesn't come. I think, and I request, let him go and look for a comprehensive answer. Even that lab which is saying 95% complete construction work, there are many other things that is required in the lab, including human resource. They don't have. So why is he economical with the truth? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mama Zamzam.
Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kumwelezea waziri afahamu kuwa kina mama wengi wanapoteza maisha yao. Na hata hapa mbeleni kidogo tulikuwa tunaongea na Mheshimiwa Meli Adhiambo, kuna mtoto wa dadake ambaye ni lawyer, ukimwona Mheshimiwa Spika huwezi kuamini. Anapoteza maini kwa kansa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka kumwambia waziri, kama huna majibu, chukua huyu Mheshimiwa Deputy Speaker, amefanya research ya kutosha aweze kukusaidia. Hatuwezi kukubali Wakenya wanakufa na sisi tunataka kuinua uchumi kwa sababu ya mtu mmoja ataka kupata faida na pesticide. Hii ni hatari, itolewe. Kenya kuna vitu vingine ambavyo tuweza kutumia kwa ukulima tukatoa mazao mazuri, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo waziri, mimi nakuomba kwa heshima na taadhima, mimi ni mama, siko tayari kufa kwa kansa. Kwa heshima, Mfuate mheshimiwa aweze kukupa ile ambayo ametoa ya haki, na uweze kufuata tutoe hichi kitu katika market yetu. Asante sana.
Obo.
Bwana Spika, mimi niko na shida nyingine. Katika haya mambo waziri anazungumzia, hii ya dawa za wadudu zinapuliziwa kwenye mimea. Bwana Spika, kuna tatizo lingine afaa pia aliangalie. Tatizo lilioko kule kwangu Lamu Mashariki, wakulima wangu hawatumii aina yoyote ya madawa. Sisi ni wakulima wa simsim. Lakini shida imetokea, wale wakulima jirani wanatumia madawa kupuliza, ile bidhaa zao zimepelekwa, simsim yao imepelekwa nje, imerudishwa. Sasa soko limeharibiwa za wakulima wote wa simsim. Hivi ninavyokuambia, simsim imejazana Lamu East, Lamu Mashariki. Ana mipango gani ya kuwasaidia hawa wakulima kuhakikisha hizi simsim zimeuzwa? Manake wao tuko tayari zipimwe. Zetu Lamu Mashariki hatutumii hizi pesticide. Kwa hivyo atusaidie ajue, hata kama vile mnavyofanya kwenye maziwa, saa ingine maziwa ikizidi serikali inanunua, basi mnunue zile simsim wakulima wetu wapate kufaidika. Asante.
Chairman of Agriculture.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand on the view that the minister needs to be better prepared with reasons. Number one, Honorable Speaker, we are talking about a very sensitive issue. It is sensitive in the sense that it is science, and let's not joke around, Honorable Speaker, there's a problem here. The problem being that any rejection of any product from any country must be explained. And they talk about maximum residual levels of the chemicals or the pests themselves or pesticides in that particular product. There's an international body called Context Alimentarius, which sets the standards. Kenya's products sometimes were rejected in the European market as a result of the European supermarkets coming up with a Europe gap, which was a standard. Kenya developed Kenyan gap, which was a higher standard than their market standard. And all our products were getting into Europe. So now, Speaker, let's not mix issues. Number one, we need scientific evidence. And scientific evidence must be from refereed journals, not gray literature. Honorable Speaker, I stand here as a person who knows what I'm talking about. Gray literature is only studied out by somebody and purporting to have referred to other literature. When you follow it up, you find that it doesn't end up. Again, that particular study was denounced by the international bodies. So the minister needs to be thoroughly prepared before we make a very serious decision which can be counterproductive to the country. And why am I saying this? We followed this issue on our Speaker, and as a committee, we engaged the PCPB on a retreat. And we told them, with Honorable Ruto, I'm wondering why Honorable Ruto is not in today. We told them, please tell us. We had mentions of names, the references. We followed up the references. Some of them were struck off the record of the respected writers in that particular field, based on what they said, which was denounced by another body. So now, Speaker, let us really be there as a country, because we might be banning our own. In Europe, I was in Europe last month. We were in Denmark. They are using Roundup. They are selling across the world. I was with the minister there, and we had presentations. I'm not talking for the ministry. I'm not talking for the I'm talking for the country Kenya, because besides anything, we need to do international trade. And if we have to do international trade, we must do trade under the WTO trading systems and the regulations that have been set for anything that is eaten, Context Alimentarius standards. So that, Honorable Speaker, let the minister come up with the details. Let anybody else who has any evidence bring the evidence. Let the evidence be cross-checked so that, Honorable Speaker, we quote something that is quotable. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Melemba.
Honorable Speaker, I think now, following the speak from the Chairman of Agriculture, and what the Minister spoke to almost in his last sentence, you will notice that this debate is bigger. This question is not ordinary. Because when the Minister was finalizing, he almost spoke to the fact that he has done some research and the so-called pesticides may not be harmful. You have heard what the chair agriculture said. You heard what the questionnaire did speak to. The minister is not saying everything plainly. In his office, there's a report which has given even that roundup, a clean bill of health. He should speak on that. And that's why I think the chairman is quite specific that these are scientific things that will need real scientific proof. So he needs to be more prepared, because equally the questionnaire is having evidence. And when you hear her speak, she's exact. She's having references. So this is a matter that Honorable Speaker needs more, so that we can clear with that roundup. And the minister was avoiding to touch the word roundup all along, until now it has emerged from other quarters. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come from an agricultural constituency where we grow large-scale flowers and horticultural product for export. Mr. Speaker, Meru, Kirinyaga are among the highest counties with a high level of cancers. Mr. Speaker, when I heard the minister speak, he spoke of carrying out some research somewhere in Uhuru, but in the deep areas where the cancer is more prevalent, he hasn't even touched it, Mr. Speaker. So there's a deficiency in his answer, because where they carried out the research is not where the cases harmful effect on human and animals is. So my request is that the minister carries out more research in the most deep agricultural zones, particularly Meru County, and specifically in Moro constituency, Mr. Speaker, where we have a high level of women miscarriage, the ones around the farms, within the farm workers. We grow potatoes, we grow cabbages, we grow almost all export products. And some of these products, Mr. Speaker, are some of the ones that are being returned. So really, this is not an issue that need to be just be given, because laymen like us are really understanding the problem. But the people who are supposed to be giving a solution, they are not. This pest control board, I think, is where the problem is. And I think something needs to be done. There's a human deficiency in that institution that are not telling Kenyans the truth. If a lawyer is able to disseminate the information from our own research, and a scientist at the pest control board is not able to explain, then this country is in danger. We're in danger. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, because my constituency has been taken as a research, as a center of focus by National AIDS Control Council, by the Minister of Health, everybody. But the Minister of Agriculture is silent. There are information that makes them know where they need to focus and get the answer to our problem. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I also support that there's a need for the CS to bring all the evidence in terms of research, and the honorable member who has asked the question to also bring whatever she may also have, so that if there is any contradiction, I think this House, with your guidance, will be able to go to the next step as to establish the correct position, so that we can be able to handle this issue. If these pesticides are the ones that are causing cancer to our people, then we can be able to know how to address it. But we cannot come to a conclusion as to that aspect until that research is well concluded, so that even my people, the people of Geshogwa I represent, we also do a lot of coffee, we use a lot of pesticides, and many other crops. And there's a prevalence of cancer, and there's a belief that these pesticides are the causes of cancer. But I don't want to make a conclusion because I'm not a scientist. Let it come from the scientists, so that we can be able to handle the matter in the best way possible. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Owen.
Honorable Speaker,
You've turned this question into a debate.
Honorable Speaker, looking at, I know the Honorable Gladys Shirley has been on this for many years, and I've been in this house hearing her all the time, and we don't seem to get headway. I also know that this house can use experts, including our local universities and professors and all that. Now, if we are not actually, because the minister is saying something else, Gladys is saying something else, other people will say something else, this is scientific corpus that may have different lineages and leanings, and people will have their own, even industry players will influence the debate and all that. Why don't we, as Parliament, ask scientists to come up with a small conference to inform Parliament so that we make a decision? Because the minister will rely on scientists in his office. I don't think he's a scientist in that area. We rely on scientists in his office that will give information that he may not possibly have his own personal conclusions on it. So, Honorable Speaker, I think that we stop belaboring this, but we look for a solution for the country by asking professors and others to come up with a paper, and we listen to them so that we make a decision, not just on the perspective of what the minister says, but Parliament makes a decision and instructs the ministry on what to do. Otherwise, it will be back and forth all the time.
Thank
you, Honorable Speaker. Just allow me to just make some things clear. One is I'm saying that in the United States of America, the Superior Court of California awarded farmers $250 million apiece against Monsanto, which was manufacturing Roundup. And it was after that that it was completely banned. Monsanto is a huge company. They had armies of scientists, but they weren't able to win the case. And that case was applied to the entire Europe and the whole of North America and the whole of the United States. How foolish as we as Kenyans to think that we can get better scientists than those ones who have done it in those countries. And furthermore, they said it had the highest number of scientists evaluating it in the history of a damages case in the United States. And I sent it to your office. You have that court case. Today, I'm also mobilizing. I'm going to do a class action in this country, and it will be against the Ministry of Agriculture and against the Pest Products Control Board, because it is their responsibility to protect us. If it is safe, why is it not being sold in Europe and America? And if it is safe, why is it that when our farmers use those products and send them abroad, when they are tested, they are sent, the entire container is returned back? I have visited many of the companies, 6 companies in Nakuru and 2 in Kenya, in Nairobi. They are the ones who produce the pyrethrum-based pesticides. And when I ask them, who buys from you? Because I know the ordinary farmer doesn't. They say any farmer who is exporting normally buys from them. Because you go to farmers, they'll tell you, this is for export, so I use pyrethrum-based. This is for the local market, nobody checks. And this, again, the pesticide atlas was done by over 22 professors from Kenya. That has been done. It has been peer-reviewed abroad. Even if you build your lab until when, you will not have that. And when you tell us that you're doing labeling, tell me how many farmers can read what sulfate something 0.2 means. They can't understand those labels. So what you do, just remove it from the market. And we have over 6,000 types of pesticides that are sold here. If we remove 267 that I have isolated as being harmful, we'll still be able to have pesticides in the country. So why you removed, out of the 267, they have removed 7. But they are going too slowly. We'll have too many deaths by the time you get to that. So this information is out there. You don't need to do your own evaluation. The world has done it. The entire Europe has done it. The entire Americas has done it. There is no way you're going to build a lab and be able to do it here in Kenya. That's a lie.
Minister, to make progress, Dr. Mutunga, you've made your pitch, and you are the chairman of the committee. So I don't want you to appear also to be holding brief for the minister who is present. Minister will step down this question, and I'll direct you to be here on Wednesday next week afternoon, before we break, to deal specifically with this question. Owen Bayer, communicate with your boss to ensure that the minister comes to answer this question. As patriotic Kenyans, and as a country whose economy is rooted on agriculture, employing 70% plus of our workforce, it should concern you, members, that we do the right things. If our products go to Europe, we now have duty-free, quota-free access. But then they hit non-tariff barriers in terms of scientific checks and come back, then we lose as a country. And it harms our economy. Those like the member for Gishugu, whose base of economy is horticulture, they'll suffer, and everybody else. So, Minister, you have a duty to ensure that Kenya benefits from scientific development, both internal and externally. What is developed in America or Europe is universal. We don't want to hear members crying about prevalence of cancer cases. And one can ask, why do we have serious prevalence of cancer cases in areas where these chemicals are in use, lesser than in pastoralist areas, and so on and so forth? So go and prepare. Come back on Wednesday on this particular question. So we'll go to the other questions so that you can be able to satisfy, not only, you are not addressing Parliament, you are addressing the country.
Yes. We are well guided, Mr. Speaker, sir.
We go to now the first question by private notice by Geoffrey Ruku. Question 015 of 2024. By Geoffrey Ruku, question dropped. Question by Joyce Kamene. I have a letter authorizing Honorable Kiamba to ask the question on her behalf. Kiamba, go ahead. Question 027 of 2024.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to ask this question on behalf of Honorable Joyce Kamene of Machakos County. Question to the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the long-term sustainable measures the ministry is putting in place to lower the cost of agricultural inputs other than the provision of subsidized fertilizer, considering the rising food prices in the country and on account of inflation? 2, state the programs and the policies the ministry has implemented to reduce importation of food to the country and ensure food self-sufficiency. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. On the first question, the sustainable measures the ministry is putting in place to lower the cost of inputs. First of all, we note that, yes, the question indicated the prices, the food prices were rising, but this has, from recent figures, we note that the prices of most foodstuff have come down, and also inflation has come down. But what we are doing to make sure that this cost of production and sustainable measures are put in place, one of them is we are promoting local fertilizer production, and we are hoping that by doing so, the cost of fertilizer will further come down. We are also doing blended fertilizer production. We have factories which have come up in Nakuru, in Eldoret, so that they start blending fertilizers. Fertilizers which are blended are better than the original, the other fertilizers, because they allow farmers to use specific fertilizers. We have also, Mr. Speaker, sir, developed high-yielding seed varieties, focusing on drought-resistant crops, pest-resistant, and which are suitable for different regions in the country. And also, we are promoting climate-smart agriculture practices through the use of climate techniques to mitigate climate-related risks. And we have also put in place subsidies on input credit programs, such as Smart Input Subsidy Program, using e-vouchers to target smallholder farmers, input credit facilities tailored towards farmers, such as the Agriculture Finance Corporation, Commodity Fund, the new KPCU, among others. We are also promoting soil health and sustainable farming practices. And on the second question, state the programs and policies the ministry is using to reduce importation of food in the country and ensure self-sufficiency. One, I would say that, Mr. Speaker, sir, the major imports we have been doing in this country, food items, we are also concerned, and part of the bill which we have, actually we are importing foodstuff worth about $4 billion, that is about 500 billion. And the main imports are mainly edible oils, mafuta ya kupikia, wheat, rice, and of late, sugar was also in the list, but of late, sugar has come out of the list. So for edible oils, we have distributed 556 metric tons of sunflower, which we have distributed to farmers all over the country for 200,000 acres in 2024, in order to produce about estimated 40,000 metric tons of edible oil. This project is aimed to cut input costs by 50% in 5 years. Other edible oils covered by the project include canola, simsim, and palm oil. So this is an edible oils promotion project, which is to cut our import of edible oils. Wheat is the other major import which we have been having. We have been promoting or working with CARO to promote production of quality seed planting materials and varieties. However, what we have in the country is to ensure that whatever is produced in the country by our farmers is mopped up before any miller can import any wheat. So there is a wheat purchase program which ensures that we purchase all the wheat from the country before any importer is given a license to import any wheat. We have also embarked on what we are calling Land Commercialization Initiative. This is an initiative where we are teaming up with the private sector to encourage them to come and lease land from government institutions like ADC, Agriculture Development Corporation, ADC, and we are giving leases from 10 to 35 years. And some of them have come up with leases which they are able to grow some of these crops like canola, simsim, and also sunflower. So this will help us also improve our local production. On livestock, because livestock is also an important area, like milk, we are importing also a big chunk of especially value-added products like cheese. What we are doing in the country, for instance, is to ensure that we give farmers incentive to produce more milk. And we are going to provide milk coolers to dairy farmers. And currently, we are in the process of procuring some milk coolers to reduce post-harvest loss in milk and the milk collected, improvement, and processed. The first phase, or the second, we had already distributed about 350 coolers between 2018 and 2022. Currently, we are procuring 230 coolers, which will be distributed early in January 2025. January to February 2025. This is to ensure that our farmers get the coolers and make sure that they preserve the milk. There is no loss. There is improved production for the improved production. We are also intervening in the livestock sector by making sure that we have a livestock vaccination program. The national livestock vaccination programs are mainly aimed at maybe transboundary diseases like foot and mouth, and the one for the small ruminants. And we are making sure that we vaccinate all our animals. In the past, counties have tried to vaccinate the animals, but this has not been effective because one county vaccinates, the other one doesn't vaccinate. That doesn't solve the disease issue. There has been an issue about this particular intervention, but what I can inform this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, is that we are using local vaccine manufactured by our local institution called Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Institute, KVVAPI. So we are not importing any vaccine to use for vaccination. The vaccination is using local vaccine. And I would like to invite members of this House who are interested. Even we can facilitate you to go to KVVAPI to see how this vaccine is being made. So it is not something which is coming from outside. It is not something controversial. We have been using KVVAPI to even export our vaccine. We are also, for the families which lost some livestock during the last drought, we are also doing a livestock restocking program to make sure that they get their livestock back, goats, mainly goats, targeting about 10,000 to 108,000 in 16 counties. We are also using duty waiver for importation of raw materials of processing animal feeds. We know that animal feeds is one of the greatest costs in this country. So we are deliberately allowing manufacturers and manufacturers of animal feeds some duty waivers for some of the particular ingredients like enzymes, amino acids, and protein concentrates, so that they can lower the cost of overall animal feeds in the country. So those are the measures, some of the key measures we are taking to make sure that we are lowering the cost of making sure that the import bill is down, and also we are lowering the cost of agriculture and those who are in it. Thank you.
Honorable Member Fukwanza.
I think it's much more than what the minister is saying. First and foremost, I want you to tell us what programs you have, because you see, you can do, for example, importation of the milk coolers. I have gone round and I've noticed that the milk coolers are there, but the people who are using them don't know how to use them. So what programs, what technical programs are you implementing? Are you forwarding to the farmers so that they can have, because of course importation of milk and exportation of milk is very important. I want to just inform the minister that I had a time to go to Middle East some times back. And Chair, Madam Speaker, you would go to the have breakfast and get milk from this country. Today you go to Middle East, you can't get milk, you get milk from Uganda. So what are you doing about it? Because we want to increase the exportation of milk, but the program is not clear. You now want to bring in the milk coolers. What programs you have, technical programs you have to make sure they succeed? Because I understand you have almost 300 and something coming in. I'm not sure what programs you have, so can be able to work on that.
Thank you. The member who asked on behalf of Honorable Joyce Kamene, do you want to get a clarification?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was only requesting the Cabinet Minister, because I asked on behalf of the member whether we could have a written copy of the response. So thank you.
I think normally the standard practice that they provide the written copy. So I think you can get it from the clerk's desk. The Honorable Member Honorable Guyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I listen to the question, it was referring to outside the provision of the fertilizer. In other words, I come from a region that supplies meat supply to Nairobi and most parts of Kenya through the livestock. I wanted to know from the minister, for the livestock farmers, especially the ones from the northern Kenya, who are facing imminent drought, what the ministry is thinking or planning to do, especially considering that we are expected to have failed short rains, and how many of our animals may die because of the drought. So the minister should have actually, instead of zeroing so much on agricultural issues, he should have given us a bit of history on livestock. What are their ministry, actually, what is the ministry budget that looks after the pastoral communities in northern Kenya? Thank you.
I'll allow you to answer that. Or maybe I can take one more question. I'll take one more question, Honorable Rueda, and then I'll come to you.
Speaker, mwanzo swali langu niliuliza halikujibiwa. Limepotea na ile kaambiwa aende arudi. Lakini hili langu anaweza jibu ni mambo ya simsim. Ni labda niregelee tena. Kwa sababu ni muhimu, watu wangu walikuja kwangu wakaniambia wako na shida sahihi, kuna wakulima wa simsim kule Lamu Mashariki. Kwa sababu ya jirani zetu wanatumia hizi madawa, bidhaa zao ziliregeshwa. Sasa imefanya wale wetu pia wamepoteza soko. Simsim iko nyingi kule na haina soko. Je, mna mipangilio gani kusaidia hao wakulima wala Mashariki? Nao ni wa Kenya. Maana yake katika hii Ministry Agriculture inafanywa huku kwingine, Lamu Mashariki ni kama hakuna wakulima, na tuna wakulima kule. Kuna cashew nut sisi tunatoa nyingi zaidi Kenya. Hata Kilifi wanasema wana cashew nut, lakini miti yao ni mizee. Yetu ukiangalia kwa hesabu ndio inatoka nyingi zaidi. Lakini Lamu Mashariki, na hakika kwa hii ministry hakuna chochote imefanywa. Au aniambie kitu gani imefanya Lamu Mashariki? Asante.
Because that was a follow-up question, Waziri, if you want to defer it to the answer to the next time you're here, yes. Or are you able to answer it on your feet? You may go ahead to answer all three of them.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will start with the question on what we are doing to complement the distribution of kuras. I would say that, first of all, this time loud, we don't want to make the mistakes we made the last time. The last time we issued the kuras, and some of them are not being utilized because they were not positioned in the right places. So this time we have done, we have gone out in the field, mapped the areas where the farmers need the kuras, and we have assessed whether they have the necessary infrastructure. For instance, power, whether they need the housing, all that is being done. Two, we want also to complement that, and we are working with the county governments. We want to complement that by making sure that those farmers, especially those who are organized in cooperatives, they have access to technical information, including how they get their semen, how they get their feeds, how they get all those other services. So this time loud, we are more, particularly for the honorable member, we are a bit more cautious, we are a bit more organized. We don't want to give just a kura. We are giving a service, and that service have to come with all the complementary services. The other one is issue about livestock, what we are doing about livestock. Yes, I agree 100%. Livestock is one of the critical areas, one of the biggest potential. We are, the northeastern and the rains are being said to be coming to on shortage of rains. So one of the areas which you have said is that we will work with the northeastern. We have a budget for feedlots where we will be able to promote and work with the communities to have feedlots and put also pastures for storage for our livestock. I also mentioned restocking for the families which lost their animals during the last drought. About 10,000 of them, you get the restocking, and also the vaccination campaigns. So we have not forgotten livestock. We have programs for them, and mainly to make sure that they are being more resilient and adapting to the climate change issues. On the simsim, sijasahau mambo ya simsim. Ni kusema ya kwamba hiyo imekuja kwa, it has come on the floor, and what we are going to do is contact, because this is a shared responsibility. We are also going to contact work with the Lamu County government to see how we can help the simsim farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dikini.
Thank you. I really want to congratulate the minister, because I think he has come out in trying to answer what the government is doing to enhance the performance of agriculture, going to the program of better transformation,
of our economy. Madam Speaker, you have spoken quite a lot on canola. And my constituency is the largest producer of canola in Meru County, and I think in the country. It's among the top. But I've never felt the effect of the ministry in terms of that crop. I want to urge the minister that we need to feel the presence of the ministry on that product, because it's expanding. We're encouraging farmers, even large scale, small scale farmers, to enhance the productivity. Number two, Mr. Speaker, he has spoken about so many packages of product, but he hasn't spoken on the delivery, agricultural extension personnel, because there is a total deficiency. If we leave this to the counties, they have no capacity. Yes, there's a lot of the ministry doing, but to get this product and to get this information training to the farmers, we lack agricultural extension officers. They are going to do double work in terms of crop and in terms of livestock. Mr. Speaker, I know what I expected him to talk more is what the government is doing in terms of the feeding programs. Livestock, on the dairy sector. Right now, there are so many types of grass that is drought resistance. There's it's quite in plenty, but the ministry.
No, you just ask a question.
Yeah,
now
could they?
Making a statement.
Yes, could they? The ministry please look at the element of seeds and the seedlings for either crops and even for the grass for the feed, animal feed. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the quality of animals, the dissemination of information at sex semen, and knowing what type of daily cattle that we require in different parts of the country, because you can't have the same across the country. There are some regions where Frisians does better, where Jersey does better. So we need that kind of guidance to the farmers of this country. Thank you.
I'll allow the minister to answer that, so you can be able to move to the next question. Honorable Gashimu, what is the point of information? You have a question coming up soon.
To seek a clarification connected to the livestock and the coolers, because coolers are supposed to store milk which has already been produced, and agriculture is supposed to support production. But once the milk has already been produced, and these coolers are supposed to support groups that are together, because it's not individual. I think this ought to have come through cooperatives that produce milk. And I think that is an area that, because you cannot give a livestock farmer a cooler because you have livestock, but it has to be a grouping, and that's an area that they need to look at.
That's what actually the minister said. Yes, you may proceed.
Madam Speaker, on the same issue of coolers, I have heard the CS Agriculture telling us that there are those people who have been sent in the field to gather information on the right places where to place these coolers. And Centriment, my constituency, is one of the places where much milk is produced, and a lot is going at waste because of lack of coolers. And I have not heard, even last weekend on Saturday, and even yesterday, happened to have been, especially in the much producing, growing area of the milk. And I did not hear from them. They were even sending me to come and ask, if possible, the president, because he had promised them.
Just frame it in a question that the minister
yes,
can be able to answer.
Can the minister come
Just
up?
ask the question.
Can the minister come up and tell us the procedure which he is using to gather that information? Because we are people's representative and we have not been consulted, and even our people down there on the ground have not, they have not received
You've asked the question.
any of those.
What
issues.
is the
Second
procedure
question,
they are
the last
using
one,
to
the last one,
allocate?
Madam Speaker. What is the minister doing as a Kenya Kwanza policy to make sure that this bottom-up economy of assisting the farmers to make much production and preservation is being to be sustained, especially in areas where we as Kenya Kwanza MPs and the president give promises of giving coolers, milk coolers? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable Rueda?
Speaker, niko kwa hoja ya nidhamu. Je, ni haki waziri kusema ataenda kuuliza county government, na tuna hakika wafugaji wa simsim kwetu la mashariki hajawahi saidiwa na chochote na serikali hii, wanajitegemea wenyewe, na sehemu zingine maziwa, majani, kahawa, mugokaa wote wanapata fedha kutoka kwa serikali ya national government. Nilikuwa natarajia aniambie mikakati, na kama hana sahihi aniambie nitarudi. Hiyo Wednesday akirudi anielezea na mikakati gani. Lakini kunifanya mimi niambiwe county government. Mimi si senator, mimi si MCA, kama nitaenda huko tena nikaulize governor.
Okay, Honorable Rueda, I think he has heard you, and he will. You also can take his contacts, and then he can brief you after he has. I mean, you can direct him at the places to go and speak. I think, honorable members, let us proceed with the minister to speak, and then we can go to the next question.
Yeah, thank you, Madam.
You'll have a chance for follow-up questions from the next questions.
Yeah, thank you, Madam. Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll start with the last one. I think we will be able to respond more comprehensively next when we come here. And we also, I'll give you my contact. We can also liaise with you so that we get to the details. Because I don't want to be seen as if I'm biased against simsim. It's a crop like any other crop we have to handle. Well, in terms of kuras, if I can start there, identification. Why we are identifying? We are identifying the locations based on the needs which we have received. And also, as it has been said, His Excellency the President has also been able to promise some of the areas, some kuras. So we are taking that into account. And we are also working with cooperatives. We are not giving individuals. We cannot give a kura to an individual. We are giving mainly to cooperatives and other associations which involve a group of farmers. So that is very clear. And then the issue about what we are doing in terms of production of the milk and the quality of the animals, yes, we are also, the government is also gearing up in terms of making sure that we have good genetic materials, sexy semen being one of them, and being distributed across the country. We are even investing a lot more in our the center which produces the semen in Kabete. And we are also having plans to make sure that the semen, some of the semen is distributed across these cooperatives which we are working with. The same with the seeds and seedlings. I would like to assure members that we have worked across the clock to make sure that this country have enough seeds and seedlings. The Kenya Seed and other seed producing companies have worked very hard, and we are sure that come next season, we will be having enough seed in this country. We are also working to eradicate the menace for fake seeds so that farmers don't get fake seeds. Then the issue about extension. We know this agriculture mostly in terms of extension is a devolved function.